Welcome back to the channel. We're in the garden today around lunchtime. I came home a little bit early to take a break and see what things were going on before heading back to work. And I'll tell you, it's hot out here. I think it's 107 today. We're expecting heat warnings through tomorrow, Saturday. It's a Friday right now. And I'm just starting to think about the long-term needs of the garden and where we're heading for the rest of the year. So I've gone ahead and assessed the needs of our family in this next year. We're going to be looking at a lot of cabbages and greens. We're also thinking about starting some onions and some garlic for this next year. And we want to take advantage of the really good growing conditions here in the winter. But in order to prepare for that, I'm going to have to time what I'm planting now, and I'm going to have to figure out how much of the garden that I want to dedicate for overwintering crops and how many that I want to end, around about the first freeze that we have here in late December, early January, or what we're going to try to really overwinter, things like wheat. We've actually grown wheat and rye here in our backyard, and those crops need to go in about the 1st of November in enough time to get those established and sprouting up before the frosts come. But in order to figure out how much wheat or rye we're going to plant in the yard, we have to assess that ahead of time. So a little bit of planning. I think what we're probably going to do this year is we're going to keep our 2 trellis walls up, clear everything out, and then we're going to plow in half the garden and get it ready for that winter crop of wheat that will probably grow. And then the other half of the garden, probably the southern facing half of the garden, we're going to go ahead and start planting with our winter vegetables. Along with that planning though goes assessing what seeds we have. And as the title of this video shows you, we're actually going to raid the seed vault in order to plant our winter garden. So let's go see what we've collected in the seed vault since we looked at it last, and we'll see if we can't get a good array and lineup of vegetables for the new year. And we'll go through some of our choices so that you can see, a sort of seed haul video. It's not a seed haul video because we already locked it away in the vault, but we're going to get into our selection. We're going to pick a few things out that we want to grow this year, and we'll bring you along for the process. Well, we're back in the kitchen now, and we're going to go ahead and look through some of these things that I pulled out of the seed vault. We've pulled out the things that will grow well in the cold, wet weather of the winter and in the months leading up to, and then hopefully in the spring away from the first of the year. Are you ready to look through some of these vegetables and see what we're going to put in our winter garden?
I am. I'm excited to go through these.
Yeah?
It's been a while since we saw them.
Yeah. I think we put most of these away in the vault at the end of the spring when they were having some of the seed sales. I think there was a little more urgency in what we were trying to do, getting the seeds put away, but now that we have them, we want to look through. We've probably forgotten some of what we actually have, but we want to pull some out and see what we got. So what are you most excited to look through and find for our winter garden?
Well, here on top is Brussels sprouts. So I want to go through this bag for sure. Looking at some of these, I want to look at some greens and some of the root vegetables.
The general requirement for the winter garden is going to be things that we can plant now and harvest by the time the first frost comes. Take advantage of the cooling down in the fall. And then things that we can plant that will overwinter. And then things that we can plant late in the season that will grow in the spring. So you're talking about cool weather vegetables, roots, cruciferous things, And then you're looking at onions and garlics that'll overwinter. And then, of course, we usually try to plant some wheat or some rye over the winter, and that'll take advantage of the rains.
Right.
But yeah, so I didn't pull out any of the summer vegetables, so this isn't a review of the seed ball. But things like corn and peppers and eggplants and all those warm weather things are still locked in the seed ball, and I've pulled out the cold weather vegetables here. So what would you like to go through first?
Well, let's start with the Brussels sprout pile here.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll just pull open these bags, try to keep them organized in the bags, and we'll both go through and find what we think is interesting, and then we'll share our sort of top choices. So this will be an opportunity to get into the bags, find what we think is interesting, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about what we like.
Okay.
We've gone through 2 of the bags now. We're gonna go ahead and show you what we've picked out, and we're just gonna share here and see what we came up with, see if we can narrow this down a little bit more. So, what did you find? Which bag did you go through there?
This is the
Cruciferous vegetables?
Yes. So I found imperial broccoli.
Okay.
Bobcat cabbage.
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts, okay, great.
Cauliflower.
Cauliflower. Okay.
And I think that was it for that bag.
Okay. So, I too found some of those things. I think if you'll sort through, you'll see some of the varieties. So, cabbages. Let's talk cabbages. So, you pulled bobcat cabbages.
There's a couple other cabbages.
So it seems like we're on the same page when it comes to cabbages. So we both want cabbages. So let's just go through the cabbages that we have real quick. So we have 3 selections of cabbage here. One is bobcat cabbage from Haas Seeds, and we'll show you close-ups of these shortly. Bobcat cabbage from Haas Seeds. We have red acre cabbage. This is from Mountain Valley Seed Company. Red acre cabbage. And then my choice. This is from Uprising Seeds. This is January King cabbage. Now, I think cabbages would grow pretty well here. I think we're both on the same page. We like cabbages. We eat a lot of cabbage. Right now, we're buying them from the grocery store because we're not growing them ourselves. But we got a lot of cabbage out of this bag because we really wanted to grow some cabbage. So I'll just share a little bit of my thinking on here. So why did you pick bobcat cabbage?
I guess simply it was there and it looked like regular cabbage.
Okay. I remember picking these specifically from these 3 companies because I remember thinking I want a good winter cabbage that'll do good production here in Northern California. And I thought Haas was having a good variety here with bobcat cabbage. Red acre cabbage, I think, was recommended to me. And I think it's one of the best early cabbages available, and has a nice red color. So I really like red cabbage. I think that's why I picked that one. Yeah, so this is a red cabbage. This is a normal cabbage. And then we have January King, and this is actually one of their larger packs. This is a 1/4 ounce of seeds. There's a lot of seed in this one. And I really like the idea of this one. I chose January King because it's extremely hardy. So we have a red cabbage, a green cabbage, a super hardy one, which I think January King is also red. I can't remember. So which of these do you think? We have a very, very hardy one. We have a red one that is very colorful and works well with organics. And then we have bobcat cabbage, which is sort of a nice early cabbage. So I advocate for this to be January King cabbage, mainly because we have a lot of seeds for that one, and I got it specifically for our environment. I thought it would be a good thing to grow here in the cooler temperatures in the winter. So, are you particularly set on any of these, or?
No, that sounds good.
Yep.
I think January King would be a
Okay,
good choice.
that'd be my pick. So January King cabbage. Now, the next one we have cauliflowers and Brussels sprouts. So Brussels sprouts, from my memory, we can be planting really all year. Obviously, our children actually like Brussels sprouts. We roast them in garlic and olive oil and a few other things, and we make soups out of them. And they actually like these Brussels sprouts. So, are there any other varieties that we picked out here?
I don't think I saw any other varieties.
Yeah, I think we're pretty limited in our Brussels sprout selection. So we're gonna go ahead and throw Brussels sprouts. The only one we have is Catskill Brussels sprouts. It says cabbage-like flavor from numerous tender small heads, 1 to 2 inches across, high in vitamin C, strong stalks. Okay, so we've never grown Brussels sprouts. We're gonna throw that in the mix. Next thing we have here is broccoli. Here's another broccoli. So we have 2 types of broccoli here. We have imperial broccoli, and we have imperial broccoli from Haas, and we have Mountain Valley Seed Company's Waltham 29. And what I remember from these two is these two are very commonly grown production gardens and market gardens. I think they come highly recommended. Waltham especially has good color with cold resistance, small compact plants, and nice side shoots. And then Imperial, I think, is just a general big broccoli. So I want to say, what is your vote here?
Again, I just want a broccoli.
You just want a broccoli?
Yeah.
A broccoli? So I think a lot of the seed choices here are going to be left to me, but I'm just sharing what I remember. I seem to remember Waltham being a pretty good favorite from people. Broccoli it can be picky. We don't have the best conditions in our garden, and I want something that's just going to grow and be a good starter for us. So I'm going to lean toward Waltham 29. That would be my recommendation. Want to try that?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on, I think we have some greens here. Yeah. So we have these Stover variety packs that we found. I think we got these at Lowe's. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So we got a couple of these Stover variety packs, and what you're going to see is you're going to see the patterns here. We have a mix of things. We have our straight up greens and vegetables, or greens and lettuces, and then we have this sort of more winter type things like kale and mustard, collard greens, turnip greens. I don't think I want to bust into these packs, but this is very instructive because it gives you information on the similarities of these and how they grow well together. So I think we both picked out some greens here that are also in this. So let's talk first about kale. Do we have some kale over in our pile?
I did not pick kale, or if I did, it got mixed in with yours.
I think it's over here. Oh, yep, here's a kale. So this is another selection from Mountain Valley Seed Company. This is lacinato kale, and this is they call it dinosaur kale. So I got this specially because I heard from some folks in this area that it grows well. So we like the dinosaur kale. It's the curly leaf kale. It's not the standard kale, and it's unique. And a lot of people remember that as the kale that they have in Olive Garden soups, that kale sausage potato soup. So we've wanted to try this for a while, so I think we're both on the same page there. This is the dinosaur kale, or the lacinato Italian kale. We're going to go ahead and throw that into the pile. Next thing, I think mustard. We haven't really grown mustard in the past, but we like the idea of mustard. We've certainly had mustard greens at restaurants and things, but this is a unique mustard. I think we pulled this one out. This is a giant red mustard from Fairy Moore's. We just got this from Lowe's too, and I think we've both been excited to try that. Plus, I think we get mustard seeds out of it, if we let it go. So it might not hurt to try our own. Now, growing this as a winter vegetable won't necessarily give us seeds, but it'll be something good to try the greens, and we'll see how it overwinters. We have a mix of Swiss chard here. And that worked well in the garden, I think, 2 years ago in the summer?
Yeah.
We planted it in the spring, but we're going to try to do Swiss chard again. And I think I'm just going to advocate for Swiss chard, ruby red Swiss chard, because I remember buying this and thinking that's very, very pretty,
have the sort of anthocyanins and things from red vegetables. And it's not just a generic green chard. I think people get bored with chard. Chard produces so much if you grow it well that you're just eating it and eating it and eating it, and it's like, bleh. I mean, it's not bad. It's just you get bored with it. And I thought adding some color and variety to our Swiss chard this year would be great. But I know you guys also like the rainbow variety. So what do you think we should try this year?
I think we should go with
the ruby red?
Yeah.
Now, ruby red is usually mixed in with these others. So any of the bright red chards might probably be the ruby red. So we're going to try the ruby red chard. Ruby red chard from Mountain Valley. Now, what do you have over there?
I have lettuce, spinach, and a salad bowl mix.
Well, let's talk about spinach. So I also pulled a spinach here. What did you pull?
This is American Seed. It's heirloom variety.
So the heirloom variety from American Seed Company. So we both pulled out a spinach. I don't think it really matters. This heirloom variety is Bloomsdale Longstanding. I've heard good things about that over the years. And then we have just giant noble spinach here. I think the Bloomsdale Longstanding is a very well-respected spinach variety among the heirloom community. So that's the one that you pulled out?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to defer to Wendy here. We're going to try that spinach. All right, what else do we have?
I have lettuce and a salad bowl mix.
Okay, what kind of lettuce do you have?
It's a gourmet blend.
So you just like the blend?
Yes.
We can do variety packs if we're just going for mass consumption, trying to get something grown quickly. But knowing how hot our falls can be here, if anything bolts, I'd love to have some seeds for ourselves. So, what do you think of just growing one variety?
Okay, that sounds good.
What kind of lettuce are you most interested in?
Kind of the normal, I guess, what you would find in the grocery store.
That's the whole point. We grow things that you can't find at the grocery store. So what sort of textures and flavors do you like in lettuce?
I like the bib lettuce. I like romaine lettuce.
You like bib types?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you're in luck. All right, so we're gonna set our mixes aside. We both picked a mix, but we're gonna set those aside. We have some bib type lettuces here. One of them is itself bib lettuce from Ferry Morris. So that's an option. We have our blend. We're setting our blends aside for now. And then I picked Marvet de Quatre Saisons. So if you look at these two, this is a French heirloom, ruby red tipped leaves surrounded by tight folded green hearts. Does great through summer heat. So if we have a hot season, like we're in the middle of the heat right now, if we plant these, lettuce is going to come up pretty quickly and grow pretty quickly. The bib, we might have to wait a little bit. I mean, it says here August through December. I think when they recommend these things on the seed packs, August through December is assuming that you're having sort of a ramping fall season where it's going to get cooler and cooler and cooler. Here it's just hot, 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 and then cool. So there's really nothing in between. So we might consider, these are both bib type lettuces. So we're both on the same page. We like the bib, but one of them does better in the summer heat. So my recommendation, even though there's not as many seeds in this little packet here, my recommendation is that we try this Marvel of Four Seasons French type heirloom, just because we don't know when it's going to cool down, and we want to get this stuff planted pretty quickly. So that'd be my vote. What do you think?
That sounds good.
Okay, so we're going to do that. All right, so we've gone through these bags and the selection that we have chosen here. I'll go ahead and show you. So next we're going to go through the more traditional winter vegetable garden selection, which is of course our root crops. So we both love roots. We love our beets. We love our turnips. We love our variety of different things. We haven't cooked with them as much as we probably could, but we've been gathering a pretty decent selection. So we're going to go through our root vegetables together, I think, just so we can mix it up. Uh-oh. Seeds are loose in the bag. Where's this from? Well, whatever these are, we're going to save them. So, got some loose seeds in the bag. These almost look like carrots. These are carrot seeds. We got a loose carrot bag. Oh, here it is. There it is. Yeah, loose carrot seeds. All right, so we got carrot seeds. I'll save these. Carrot seeds, yep. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and tell me what you're thinking when it comes to beets.
I love beets. Our whole family loves beets. I really like to use it in cooking, and I wanted something that was reliable, something that would produce a large beet that we could use a lot of it this year.
Okay. And what have we chosen here?
So we have chosen the
It's another French variety.
Sorry.
Crapaudine?
Yes. Red beet.
Crapaudine. Crapaudine. I don't know. Crapaudine. We'll call it Crapaudine. This is a delicious, treasured French variety, the oldest known beet cultivar from uprising seeds. All right, what else do we have?
And then we also have the Ruby Queen beet.
Okay. So you said you didn't like the beets we had last time, but I can tell you I grew Ruby Queens. What was it you didn't like about those?
I just felt that they were kind of on the smaller side. I mean, we would get a large beet here and there, but just overall, they were kind of on the small side.
All right, so we have pretty dense soil in our garden, and that doesn't really bode well for root crops. So I think we're going to have to do a little bit of tilling in the garden to get these going again. But my recommendation or my vote would be for the French beet, because this is a long-standing variety with a very long taper root, so it can dig down in there and make room for the bulb toward the top. So, and I've heard really good things about this beet growing well in a bunch of different ways. So we've already tried Ruby Queen. It's decent flavor, and the greens were great. We love the beet greens that grew. But let's go ahead and try Crapaudine and see how that works.
Okay, that sounds great.
Next we have carrots. I see we both sort of picked out some carrot varieties here. Let's go ahead and talk through these. What are you looking for in the way of a carrot?
Again, something that's hardy, that produces a big vegetable that we can use in a lot of different things.
Okay. One of the challenges with growing carrots here is they bolt quickly. And again, we have that dense soil. So I've looked through these. We have, of course, Danvers 126. Danvers 126. We have Red Cord Chantenay. Red Cord Chantenay. And of course, oh look, we have another Red Cord Chantenay. So that seems to be a popular vote. Now, when it comes to picking these carrots, I think I like the Danvers 126 because they have very strong tops, and they have firm, crisp flavor, and they're very productive. So, and they keep a long time. So this is a carrot that'll store a long time with nice greens. You can do different things with. The Red Cord Chantenay is outstanding in heavy, poor soils. So I think that's why we picked this one. We thought this might do well in our soils. And then, of course, the perpetual challenge that we have with carrots is the heat. So this is Cruciferous from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. Well, there's a few seeds in here. Not as many as probably we would want, but this is bred in India. It's extremely heat tolerant, and it's perfect for hot summers. So I think we have an interesting selection here. Again, though, if anything bolts, I'd love to save the seeds. So keeping a pure variety, I think we're going to limit ourselves to one type. That way we can keep some pure seeds and not have some crossing going. But what do you think here? We have a very heat tolerant, works well in...
That one's my pick.
You like that one?
Yeah.
All right, so we have long lasting, poor soil, heat tolerant, and you're voting for the heat tolerant one.
Yes.
Now, why is that?
Simply because it is hot here and it can stay hot even through Halloween. So it would be nice to have something that's able to grow through the heat.
Grow through the heat. Okay. Because carrots tend to mature pretty quickly. I mean, not terribly slow, but I'm going to go ahead and throw my money behind the Pusa Aceta as well. So there you have it. Our first Baker Creek heirloom seed variety of the garden, the winter garden. Let's talk about the last selection here. I think we only chose one of each. We have rutabaga, and of course we have radishes. Let's go ahead and talk about those. What made you pick these varieties?
Well, for the rutabaga, I don't think we had anything else to choose from. So it seemed like a good variety. I mean, that's all we had. And then the radish, we did have another variety of the radish, but I just kind of wanted the red one, like the one that you would see at the grocery store. I just wanted to see how we could grow it ourselves and get radishes.
Okay. This is French breakfast radishes, so that's a good selection. This is American Seed Company. Again, we rated the Dollar Tree, and we got this as one of the final selections. So French breakfast obviously is a very well-known heirloom. We're going to go ahead and throw that in the pile. And then rutabagas, rutabagas are great for throwing into stews and for winter roasting. We've never really grown them.
No.
And we rarely have eaten them because you just don't find them in the stores very often.
Right.
But, rutabagas are a staple crop. And I think that people have used them as stock feed as well. So, this can be something that's very versatile to get going in the garden and to learn to grow well, especially when we expand and get animals. So these are our root vegetable selections for the winter garden. First, we have the Crapaudin French heirloom beet. We're excited for that. Next, we have our first Baker Creek heirloom seed selection of the season. This is going to be the Pusa Aceta black carrot. I've heard some good scuttlebutt on the internet about this, people talking about it and growing it. I think it's one of the newer selections. So we're going to go ahead and give that a try because it's very heat tolerant, and we're going to get this growing quickly. And if it bolts, we're excited to have a heck of a lot more seeds. Moving on, we have rutabagas. This is the American Purple Top from Ferry Morse. It's just a general standard selection of rutabaga that grows pretty well. And it's a rutabaga, so we're going to use that for soups and stews. And then, of course, lastly, we have our French breakfast radishes. Standard heirloom pair for radishes. We're excited to grow those. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about onions and garlic now. I don't think we have any garlic seeds. Do we have any garlic seeds? I don't see any garlic seeds. You can get garlic seeds very rarely, but if you really want the varieties that are, true to seed, you're going to get the bulbs. So we'll talk about garlic a little bit, but first we're going to talk about onions. We're right in the middle there, so we can choose whether we want long or short day, and it'll grow. It'll grow. Onions are very light sensitive, so you can certainly research this for yourselves, but the amount and quality of the light that the onions get during the year is what triggers them to bulb. So if you've ever tried to grow onions and for some reason they don't bulb out and become a big onion like we're used to seeing in the stores, that's why. That didn't work. But you can get different types. These are Lisbon bunching onions and the sort of scallions and things like that, just for green onions before they've bulbed out, are certainly edible in the garden. You can do those sort of things. But I want to talk about a few of the varieties that I'm excited to try I'm going to have to do a little more research on this because of the biennial nature of onions, and then of course the long day, short day distinction. It can be tricky to when you plant them. Some people plant them in the fall and overwinter them, and then other people will try to rush them through in their summer plantings. Onions are really sort of hit and miss, but you get these things growing, and we're obviously going into the fall, so we're going to be looking into fall planted onions and overwintering and see what would be appropriate and what won't. And quite honestly, without sorting through these, they're a little more complicated than other vegetables for timing. So I'm not sure that we'll be able to get all these in the garden, but I'm going to talk about some of the varieties that I have and why I'm excited about them. And we can chat about that. Why don't you tell me what you like about onions? I know that you hated onions when we first got married. You never used them. You didn't think they were very useful. How has your opinion changed in the last 13 years?
I would say that I do use onions more at most meals, like dinner meals. But I do like the sweet onions. Those are my favorite. When we have the red onions or other varieties, I'm a little bit leery of how to use them well in a dish. So I kind of tend to stick with like the yellow onions or the white onions.
All right. Well, you might see from some of the colors here, there's a lot of red onions in my pile. And then, of course, we have some sweet onions and things. So what have you seen in this pile that you're attracted to?
I see there's a yellow sweet Spanish. That sounds interesting. I feel like there was something else too I saw. But the sweet onions.
Sweet onions?
Yeah.
So Wendy's advocating for sweet onions. I like onions with a little more bite. And I'll tell you, I can eat raw onions. I'm one of those people that can dice it up and just put it on top of everything. And I love it. And every now and then they'll get me. And, I'll be dicing up a bunch of onions and I'll just be, it'll be a disaster. But I love it because it's very, very tasty. Adds good flavor to a lot of the things we do. So what do you see in here? You like sweet onions. I'm sure you've had a chance to poke through here. What stands out to you?
The yellow sweet Spanish.
Okay, this one?
Yes,
Yeah.
We have a few of those. Or even the Utah yellow sweet Spanish. I don't know if that's the same.
It's very similar. So we've kind of gotten a bunch of different types. Yellow sweet Spanish is popping out a lot. I don't know why we forgot. We have a lot of yellow sweet Spanish. So there's the sweet onions here. We also have some red onions. So I'm voting for a mix here. We're not going to get seeds out of these things. So I think a good mix of onions would be pretty good to have. And we'll just have to replenish our seed stock. But what's your vote? You want to try the yellow sweet Spanish?
Yes.
All right, and then I want to try red. And I've gotten a good selection here because I like the red one. It's a red Wethersfield. So, I like the heirlooms. I want to try some of the heirlooms. This particular one is red Wethersfield. I think this is from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. This is an heirloom variety I was interested to try, but it's a little bit picky. So I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to go with yellow sweet Spanish, and then we'll just pick a ruby red. This is a long day variety. Favorite in the MI Gardener for its crunch and versatility. Deep purple, ideal for long storage, will last up to 5 months. Highly reliable with excellent yield. So we're going to go ahead and try the MI Gardener Ruby Red Onion. We're going to try the, which one of these yellow sweet Spanish do you want to try? You want to stick with MI Gardener, or you want to try Seeds of Change or something?
Let's go with the Seeds of Change.
Let's try Seeds of Change. I think that's a good idea because there's a fair number of seeds in here, and it's in this new packaging, and I know that's always reliable to get those germination rates going. And then I want to try one more thing. We have cheap seeds here for green onions. I think we can go ahead and try those. And then lastly, this was one that I found This was one I found on Harris Seeds. I think it was on sale, but it was a specialty. This is an All-American Selections winner. It's a small onion, but it's a really valued gourmet onion. It's called Échalion crème brûlée, which means cream brulee shallot, basically. Cream brulee shallot, and it's a F1 hybrid, but I heard good things about it, and it looks beautiful. It's beautiful. So we're gonna go ahead and try these. So what have we done here? We've narrowed this down. Let's show you what we pulled out of our pile.
First on our list, and top of Wendy's list, is the yellow sweet Spanish onion. We're going to go ahead and try the one from Seeds of Change. Next, my vote for red onions. Long story, red onion is ruby red. This is from M.I. Gardner Heirloom Seeds. We're excited to try some of their seeds for the first time. I've purchased a lot, but I haven't actually grown a lot of M.I. Gardner. And with their expansion and success, I'm really excited to try that. Moving on, we're going to try the Cheapy seeds from Dollar Tree and American Seed Company. And we're just going to grow white Lisbon bunching onions for a good green onion selection. And then lastly, we're going to try Harris Seeds creme brulee shallots, or escallion creme brulee. And that's a beautiful looking one. Go ahead and look that up. That's pretty cool.
We can talk about herbs. We have a nice herb bag here. I don't think we're going to go through and pick everything out like we did with the other, but some of the herbs that we really like are just like the old song: parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme. We're growing some basil. Why is basil in here? Probably because it's an herb and a green. Purple coneflower. We actually have purple coneflower growing right now. It is not flowered yet. It's been growing all summer. It's beautiful foliage, but it hasn't sprouted any flowers. So we've got that going. But I think what we'll probably do is try to plant some of the more hardy things and see what happens. We could try some dill. We're zone 1. We could plant this September to February. So we might try some dill. Rosemary grows very well here, very, very well. But we've been a little hesitant to plant a bush because it'll become a big woody bush. We might plant that up at Mom and Dad's place, But as far as the garden, I think we might be pretty limited in what we try. We'll probably try some dill and, a couple of other things. Thyme, I'd like to grow thyme again. We have all sorts of seeds here, but I think we're gonna be pretty limited. What do you think?
I like seed cilantro, but I don't know if that's a good winter one or not.
Not really, but we could try to grow some by the end of the year. So we have cilantro, dill,
Maybe some sage.
Sage. We can try some sage, some thyme. So we're gonna pick through here. Maybe not right now, but we're gonna pick through here and get out some herbs for the winter garden starter because it's a good time, but we just have to plan around the weather.
So first we have American Seeds, then we have Livingston Seed Company. Those are both basic coriander, cilantro. Then we have dill. We're going to try the Seeds of Change variety. It's just basic dill. Moving on, we have thyme, and that grows pretty well here in the winter. And then we're going to try sage. We're going to grow this. We're going to grow these last two in pots, and that way, if we move, we can take it with us. But we're going to baby these, and we're going to establish some nice pots full of these two herbs.
Okay, lastly, we're going to talk peas and beans. Peas and beans are very popular in our family. However, we haven't had great success growing them here. And that's mainly because of timing and the unpredictability of the weather. Peas and beans, they're a good cold weather start vegetable, early spring, right after the frost or right before the frost. You get them planted and they grow up. We had great success with our pea trellis this year. This is the first year that those, or bean trellis, I don't even remember what we planted. It was just some cheapy beans that we got from American Seed Company. Something like this. This is a Cherokee Yellow Wax, but it was something like this. And we just planted it as an experiment because it was the first year we were growing the trellis in the area, and we didn't know if it would work. It actually worked well. We planted early. They took a while to get going.
Very long.
It took a long time to get going, but round about June, late June, they took off and covered the trellis. And we've actually gotten some good sets there. But what we got out of it was these tiny white beans that I wouldn't even say are worth cooking up. It might have something to do with the heat. So anyway, the point is, we have to really think about what we're going to try moving into the fall and whether it's worth our effort and time. And I don't want to grow another big set of beans and kind of have that space wasted as we're going into the winter, because there's a couple other things I want to try. One of them is Malabar spinach. So we could certainly try to grow some, but I think I'm angling more on a spring planting. We also have some field beans, just bush beans, instead of trellising beans or climbing beans, pole beans. But I think as far as beans go for the winter garden, I would say we try to focus on, we learned a lot from the experiment this year, and we can tweak that and plan for next year.
Right.
And sort of skip any sort of fall planting beans or peas in favor of other things. But what are your thoughts on the matter?
No, I agree. I'd rather focus on what we've already picked out and leave these for better planning in the spring.
And something else to think about too is if we do end up having a cold winter, it's going to start raining in mid-August, mid-October, late October. So right now it is mid-August, so that's 2 months. So August to September, September to October, and then it gets cold and rainy and wet. So that's 60 days. If we planted today, it would be about 60 days before the rains start. It might be longer. Other years we've gone all the way to December or January before we've actually gotten the rains. So it's a gamble. Do we plant and risk having it all get ruined and wet and nasty, or do we hope that we're sort of betting against the house and hoping that the drought continues so that we can get some beans? I'm going to be optimistic in the opposite direction and hope that the rains start on time this year. So, I'm excited for some of these beans. We got several beans from Uprising Seeds. I highly recommend them. Great place to get beans from, a good variety. We have bush dry beans, Jacob's cattle beans, and then of course this is one I'm excited to try, which is Pellegrini pole beans. But I think we're going to pass it and wait till next year.
Yeah.
And let's show you what we want to grow on those trellises instead, which is red Malabar spinach.
This is red Malabar spinach. We had this recommended by Tipper Presley of Celebrating Appalachia. This is a variety that we're going to use that's a trellising sort of vegetable, and it's a green that grows very well in the heat, and we're excited to try this on our trellises instead of our beans. And this is, of course, from Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds.
So we've gone ahead and picked out our winter garden selections. We've rated the seed vault. We've gone through everything, and we've come up with the varieties that we like to do. So how do you feel about these selections? What do you think of our winter garden plants?
I'm excited to get these planted and to see how they do.
And what are you most excited for out of all of our selections?
I think that out of all of them, probably the Brussels sprouts and the beets.
Brussels sprouts and the beets. I'm excited for those too. I know the Kruppowden beets seem like a really cool thing. I'm now that I'm remembering those, I'm getting excited. That's an Uprising seed selection. What else?
I would like to see the spinach and the lettuce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, the bib lettuce. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's this one right here.
Okay.
Oh, Marvaille de Quatre Saisons. So there's a pattern here. We're getting a lot of French heirlooms in our selection. What else? What are your thoughts on the winter garden this year and the seeds that we've been able to get?
Well, I don't think we've really tried much of vegetables before in the past. We've done wheat and some other things, so I'm excited to see how these do in our weather here. And hope for the best.
Okay. I think we're also going to plant a patch of red Fife wheat. We get that from Anarchy Acres. Of course, we have our own seed now because we grew it out last year. We have tons of wheat available. But we're going to do red Fife wheat again. I don't think we're going to grow any rye this year.
Okay.
But we're very limited in our space, so we don't want to. We could plant the whole garden in wheat and just take the whole thing up, and then we wouldn't be able to grow anything else. But we're going to probably plant half the garden in the red Fife wheat so that we can build our stores up some more. And then, of course, our selections here. I'll tell you, I'm most excited. There's a few things that I'm most excited to try here. I think getting this red Malabar spinach growing on the trellises will be really cool because that'll give us a good green, I think, all the way up until Christmas. The Pusa Sita black carrot is really intriguing to me. And January King winter cabbage, I think I'm excited for that. I remember picking the seed and thinking that would be really cool to have a huge selection of cabbages so that we can make coleslaw and sauerkraut and everything that we make this year. And then, of course, the Marvel of Four Seasons bib type lettuce, the Kropotted beet, and then the other one that I'm excited about. I'm not ignoring my onions, so you can just assume that I love the onions. But the one that I'm really kind of excited about is to try this Harris Seeds creme brulee scallion. That just sounds really cool. So, what else? Any other thoughts?
No, I'm just excited to get out in the garden, get these planted, and see what happens.
And what are you looking forward to making from all of these sort of things? What sort of winter foods would growing this sort of thing facilitate?
I'm excited to use some of these in soups, like Brussels sprout soups, French onion soups. Try to see, like adding in the rutabaga, to some of that, and just some salads, to have some good salads. Good
greens. They're a little bit expensive right now, especially the organic type things. And I think we're looking forward to it. But yeah, I think you're right. We're big soup people in the winter. I might complain at times if it's just soup. I'd like some bread to sink my teeth into to go with it. And we certainly have our bread making setup that Wendy's working on. We'll probably have some good videos this winter on good hearty winter breads. But getting all the bulk food in there, the kale and the turnips and the rutabagas and the chards and all those sort of great things that go into the winter diet, I think will be pretty cool. And I think we can have a good selection of good winter soups this year. So yeah, I'm excited. So you have any other thoughts on this sort of seed haul type video?
It's a lot of decision making to do.
Yeah. How are you feeling? I know we spent a little bit of money on this seed vault, acquiring all of these seeds. I don't want to say it was terribly expensive, but it wasn't cheap. And I think we were both kind of questioning the wisdom of doing that,
right.
Thinking, what if these seeds aren't available? I have seen that a lot of these seeds are no longer available, at least for the season. So I think it was wise that we purchased some of those, especially for the winter plantings. But what are your thoughts on that investment now?
I'm very thankful that we were able to make the investment when we did, that we were able to pick what we wanted instead of just kind of picking the leftovers of what was available.
Okay. If you like our channel, please hit subscribe and click the bell so you're notified when we release new videos. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.